QST. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Kicking in the 9H HAM GlobalNet today, Thursday, 5th June 2025. This is the 109th edition of the 9H HAM GlobalNet. Before we start, is there any emergency traffic? Is there any emergency traffic for the net? Hearing none, I'd like to start by thanking all the people who work behind and in front of the scenes for this net to happen, and primarily the trustees and curators of the two repeaters which we regularly use, 9H1 UHF-R repeater for Papa, the 9H1 DMR repeater, which is maintained by Antoine 9 Hotel 1 Uniform and Herbert 9 Hotel 1 Hotel. All the other people who work in the background, including Jerry, November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey, who does a lot of work on the YouTube editing side, and as very frequently leads these nets. 9 Hotel Foxtrot Bravo Sierra, who very often leads these nets as well. And 9 Hotel 1 Sierra Fox was one of the founders of these 9H HAM GlobalNet. I will take occasional pauses to avoid repeater timeouts. We have been informed today by 9 Hotel 1 Uniform Sierra that for technical reasons the DMR repeater is down on the RF side, but the DMR link on Echolink, the DMR node on Echolink is active. So we have connected both Echolink nodes for the 9H1 UHF-R and 9H1 DMR link, and anyone connecting to either to the 9H1 DMR link or to the 2780 talk group via some other means except by RF through the local Malta repeater should be able to connect to this net as well. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. This is not a directed net, so my role here is just to keep the net going, but there is no net controller, so during the net anyone can press the PPT button, announce his call sign, and put feedback, comments, questions, or whatever. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha, and I will be taking the lead for today's net. And before we start, I am asking, are there any check-ins for the 9H HAM GlobalNet? Please state your call sign and your name, and leave a few seconds between check-ins to avoid doubling. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha, waiting for check-ins on the 9HM GlobalNet.
901 Foxtrot Bravo Sierra, Charlie.
This is 9 Hotel 1 Tango Lima. Name is Chris via Echolink.
This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. I acknowledge 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Bravo Sierra, Charlie, and 9 Hotel 1 Tango Lima, Chris. I will pause for any further check-ins to the 9HM GlobalNet. It seems we're going to be a small group today, but I will ask for check-ins later on as well. Okay, so let me kick off myself. I'll take a few pauses. Okay, this is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Name is Anthony, and I'm currently transmitting using RF, basically just using a 4-watt handheld straight into the 9H1 UHF repeater from QTH Rukara Malta. This net is being also transmitted live on YouTube, on the 9HM GlobalNet YouTube channel. It's being available on YouTube after this net, perhaps after 1 or 2 days, because there's some editing which would need to be carried out, which November 7 Alpha Papa Whiskey is taking a lot of work to do. For whoever wants to listen. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot again. Okay, yeah, you might have noticed that over the last days we have posted some requests on the local Facebook pages, the local amateur radio Facebook pages, asking for anyone who would like to help to make this net, to expand this net, include activities in it, and make it much more attractive to a larger audience, sort of to contact me. I'm happy to say that actually I have been contacted. It's still at an very early stage now, but I have been contacted, and we do have sort of a very preliminary plan for meetings and whatever to try and expand and improve this net, especially since it is the only net currently operating from Malta. So I can't give any details for now because they're very, very early. but if anyone would like to lend a hand, the offer is still open. It's always open, actually. It will be open 24/7, about 365 days. So this is something we're just beginning of, but if anyone would like to offer a hand in anything, please feel free to email me. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha, and I'm pausing again for any new check-ins before we start the net. Are there any new check-ins before we start the net? This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Okay, hearing none. Summer has kicked in. People will be spending their time outside instead of at home with the radio. Okay, so Charlie, shall I pass on the mic to you first? 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Bravo Sierra. There's no need to pass on the mic to anyone, so you can just start off a discussion and see where it will go. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Passing on the mic. Hotel 5 Foxtrot Bravo Sierra, Charles.
Actually, I am 9H1 Foxtrot Bravo Sierra. Just woke up about 10 to 8. And I would like to speak to you after the net is finished. I have a landline or mobile because I have to ask you something. Which is, well, radio related and not. Anyway, much better, feeling much better. But today I had to stay up in the afternoon, so I made up for it at 6 o'clock. Il-riżultatu illi bqajt qed 8 għarri. Anyway, let me pass it on to Chris. I'm going to nip to the kitchen. By the way, there is one point I would like to make, that when I tried listening to you guys to the net on 2780, I heard nothing on 2780. So you might take note of that, or maybe the people who take care of that particular, but not through EchoLink, but through 2780. I didn't hear anything. Anyway, let me pass it on to Chris, and I'll go get me a snack, consolidated, whatever. 9H1, PL, 9H1 FBL.
FA and 9H1 FB. This is 9 Hotel Tango Lima Crest to the net. I just have a sort of general question that perhaps and one of you might want to answer, related to communications that are not necessarily ham related, but which I keep getting asked by non-amateur radio licensees, so people who are not licensed. I get this question often, and I'm not sure how to respond. I'm just wondering if you guys might be able to answer that question.
Go ahead, Chris. What's the question?
Okay, this is 9H1TL, Chris. Every now and then I'm approached by someone who doesn't really have any experience with any sort of radios, and when I introduce the idea of amateur radio, they show some kind of interest, but understandably I make it a point that it is a time investment. So although my HF station has gathered dust, it's something that had a lot of work put into it, not just practical but also theoretical. You have to sit for a licensing exam, and this puts off quite a lot of people who might not be willing to enter the hobby with such enthusiasm, but will want some kind of alternate communication in the always unlikely but possible scenario that phone lines, your conventional communication modes would not always work. As times go by, we start to rely on our power grid less, and people do show concern on what other things are available. I'm not sure how accessible CB radio is to whoever is not interested in that time investment in learning or everything that has to be done about HF and VHF, but will want to sort of have one mode of communication, at least short distance communication to family members in a way that doesn't disrupt amateur traffic or commercial traffic. I know that there's PMR 445. However, I believe that's limited to half a watt, which renders it pretty much useless, really, in the setting that I'm trying to describe. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are about that sort of thing.
The 9H1 Tango Lima, 9H5FA. Yes, I have a CB radio, I mean it's configured the correct because CB frequencies, although they're the 37 megahertz band, but there are slightly different frequencies and slightly different in different regions in the world. But it is set to our region. And every time I switch it on, and either listening to very often channel 16, which is what most people use as the calling channel, or even letting it scan, in Malta, I never picked up any signal whatsoever. When I took it to the UK, in the UK I did pick up signals. I didn't actually talk back, but I was just scanning basically. But yeah, I did pick up signals, and from the US cells that were going on, they seemed to be signals from truckers mainly. But in Malta, I never managed to pick up any CB signal. But CB is license free, so if someone would like to get CB radios for family use or whatever, yeah, they are completely license free. It has to be set to the correct. I mean, most CB radios are multi-standard. You can set them to different zones according, and they will automatically configure themselves to the frequencies of that zone. But yeah, they're license free. I bought mine from the UK. Yeah, but it's still a nice thing to have. I remember the days when CB was the way to go. Sort of everyone had a CB, or not everyone, but a lot of people had a CB. 9-8, back to the floor. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
Actually was a CB operator for some time, a very short time, maybe 1 year, something like that. And there used to be quite a good amount of activity from Malta. So it must have died down. Well, today with WhatsApp and all these modern means of communication, it stands to reason. But when it started back, I think in the 90s or something like that, I had an antenna on the roof, and I had a base station, and I used to hear quite a good amount of activity during the day from Malta and also from other countries in Europe. So that's my 2 cents. As the magic fisher, I didn't bring the snack yet, but I'm going to get it. But as Chris was making that question, I decided to pitch in with my 2 cents. Go ahead.
This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Thanks, Charles. Would you like to say something yourself, or can I add on to what Charles and you have said?
All I have to do is just go to I forgot from where I bought it, but I bought the radio from a shop, and then we filled out the form stating my call sign, which in my case was Nabucco. And that's it. You're up and running. That's how it was in those days. So, no, I think I don't have anything else. But it was quite fun, actually. There were some pranksters, as there are in any type of communication, but most of them were quite decent people on the air. So there wasn't anything of that, 4-letter words or stuff like that. After the stage when I left it, it was very it was very decent. Managed one of these.
Charles, if you still have your CB, perhaps you should try it out with my CB. I don't know. Chris, you also mentioned, by the way, I'm 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Chris, 9 Hotel 1 Tango Lima, you also mentioned the PMR 446. I have a fair amount of experience with that because I've been playing around with PMR 446s before I ever got a radio license, since they are obviously license free. Would you like my 2 cents about those radios? Back to the floor, or would you like to pass on some feedback yourself, please? Back to the floor. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
This is 9 Hotel 1 Tango Lima, Chris. Just a quick comment about PMR 446. I was asked by someone who wanted to give it a shot before even considering amateur radio, so they wanted to play around with the PMR 446, which, as you know, doesn't require a license. So I figured I'd give them the benefit of the doubt, and we did some experiments going around the island and seeing how far one would get, and sort of made a little sort of informal map, and depending on we're basically trying to gauge how far you could go with PMR 446 with your standard radio that you could find with the power limitations required, and we found that basically you have to have best optimal conditions to even make it useful. You have to go at the top of the building. You can't be among any trees. So this limits its use to someone basically within almost earshot, unless you have these optimal conditions. Maybe I was using an inferior set, I guess. I don't know, but maybe I wasn't doing the things the right way. But I did give it a good shot, and we found that basically the range is abysmal. So that's my experience. Wondering what your experience is with PMR 446. So maybe we can make it more accessible to anyone who wants to get into that sort of thing. So back to the floor.
Yeah, by the way, I heard some local QRM with you, Chris.
In brief, my experience with PMR 446 is, first of all, the claims they make on the label, even the relatively, mainstream brand ones of, 10-kilometer range, those are white lies, because I guess you could get a 10-kilometer range, line of sight, open field with nothing between you. Now those situations are inexistent. I mean, you never come across those situations in real life. Now I've got probably about 8 or 9 different PMR 446 radios here, different brands, from cheap Italian ones to pretty good icon ones. In a nutshell, even though these are all official PMR 446s, I mean, according to regulation, so they're limited to half a watt, the antenna cannot be removed, with all the sorts of limitations that there are. I'm going to take some pauses, okay, so I'm going to pause for a few seconds. Okay, so within a built environment, so from my home, doing some experiments with my son at home, talking on the PMR 446, and I'm walking around along and going sort of further and further from my home. I could get clear communication from about 3 blocks away, but that was it. So basically, about three streets away. I'm trying to estimate in the distance. We're talking of less than a kilometer. We're talking about between 500 and 700, 800 meters perhaps. And then the sort of link just fell. However, in Gozo, talking from the front gallery of an apartment, of a second-floor apartment, I could talk to someone, my son again, using the PMR 446 with half a watt, and he was at Mjar near the Gozo ferry. And we could talk quite clearly, which I thought was amazing, I mean, from Kercham straight to Mjar on a PMR 446. I have also used it in cars, sort of when we're, 2 or 3 cars following each other and deciding which direction to go. There, I think it was the most useful, useful use for it, because if you're going along a straight road, it's got quite a good range, even though you might be in you're in a metal box, but you can communicate with someone, half the for sure. The high-rise buildings that face problems. I'm going to pause again because I've got some more experiences too. I have also used them abroad. So my best experience with them was actually in Norway, where there is a family. My daughter was not rock climbing, but she's pretty adventurous. She was actually going down a fairly steep valley with appropriate gear and whatever. And obviously I live on the safer side of life, and I stayed on top waiting for her. She was with some friends as well, and she was alone. And I gave her a radio, and I had the other radio. And this was valley. So actually, we were going across quite a large valley. I don't know, about probably I think at one point in time we're a distance of 1-2 kilometers probably from her, because and we're communicating perfectly. I mean, there was nothing in between, literally just a valley, and we're communicating perfectly. I was amazed actually, with just half a watt, at least 2 kilometers distance. I'm sure there was more, and we were as though, you know, I mean, probably better than mobile, because I think mobile signal there was a bit weak. That was my best experience with it. Another experience I had is that with certain parts of the north of well, probably even the north of Gozo, you sometimes do pick up communications which seem to be coming from Italy because they're Italian. Again, line of sight with Sicily, sort of nothing in between. So actually, the problem with that is, if you have line of sight, then they're really good devices. If you don't, then, well, they are what they are. I always take PMR 446s when I go abroad, because I can use, I mean, anyone can use them, basically. I can call to my wife or whatever. When I go to abroad, even on a conference with friends of mine, and we have accommodation which is close, 1 block away or 2 blocks away from each other, I give them out radios so we can communicate from one block to another, and it works. So we wake up each other in the morning. Hello, it's time to wake up and go to the conference. 9H1. Well, back to you, Chris. 9H1 Tango Lima. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
It's 9H1 TL, Chris, to the net. Yes. So my experience with PMR mostly similar. You have to have optimal conditions, and it seems like the best case use for what most people would sort of ask me for would be you're both in vehicles sort of following each other, and you can communicate without having to shout or whatever, and obviating the use of data on a phone if that's not available, if that happens to be not available. So yeah, and when you're abroad, so for example, you don't always have data. Sometimes getting so for example, last time getting contact with the taxi driver was a bit troublesome, even though we were trying to use our cell phones. It was a bit troublesome, and it would have been made easier with PMR radio. So I think there are very specific case uses where PMR is 446 is sort of actually very, very useful. But I do get these questions from people who are interested in disaster preparedness, who are not interested in amateur radio per se, so they're not ready to make that time investment. And there are quite a lot of these people who are sort of concerned that they might lose the ability to have communication. Perhaps they live in a bit of a remote area, on a farm, wherever, and they need to have some form of communication. And sometimes the prices of some radios are a bit prohibitive, and PMR, because it's PMR 446, because they're so affordable, just offers a very, very elegant, cheap solution for most case uses that I'm sort of, we're talking about. I'd like to explore CB radio a bit more for anyone who's ready to make the time and money investment for that, but